I think I finally understand the assassination.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this guy Marcello, the mob boss,
Mm-hmm.
he was pissed. There was three wings that were very pissed at Kennedy. One was the mafia. They felt they were double crossed because they helped Kennedy win, and then
Yeah.
Bobby Kennedy prosecuted them when he was attorney general. Okay. Then there was like the standard right wingers that are always here in this country. Let's not get into that again. They're wonderful people. You know, they were the John Birchers back then, and they became the birthers. They're MAGA. They're always there. It's about a third of the country, very far right wing. That was that Guy Bannister.
Mm-hmm.
He just hated Kennedy because Kennedy represented everything that was just horrible about America. And then there was Ferry,
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Ferry, played by Joe Pesci in the Oliver Stone movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he had run guns to the Cubans, you know. They were Castro took over in 59. They were trying to oust him. So he felt double-crossed by Kennedy, the Bay of Pigs. So you have three people here in this Agatha Christie story who really want to kill John F. Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Oswald, I mean, what's so weird about the Oswald thing that we just gloss over is the time he spent in the Soviet Union, our desperate enemy at the time. It's treated in the press as if it's just another interesting fact about Lee Harvey Oswald. Oh, and did you know he spent some time in the Soviet Union and he was a stamp collector? You know, he was there in the Soviet Union and then came back to America and shoots the president.
If he shot the president.
Oh, you don't think he shot the president?
No, I don't think so.
Well, I mean, I think there was a conspiracy and there were other gunmen. I mean,
I think there were certainly other gunmen. I don't know that he was one.
But he was the perfect patsy.
He was a perfect patsy. So the perfect movie about the Kennedy assassination is The Parallax View, where Warren plays this. It's a wonderful talk about everything coming together in the last 10 seconds. Warren is this investigative reporter trying to investigate blah, blah, blah. And at the end, we find out 10 seconds to go in the movie, they've been leading him on to the point where he's up on a catwalk with a rifle, and he's going to be the patsy. But did you know that one of Marcello's girlfriends was Lee Harvey Oswald's mother?
I did not.
Check it out. He was all over Oswald. He was part of the whole crew at the Jack Ruby's bar.
Yes. There's lots of witnesses who saw them together. I mean, it's just passing strange to me that we just gloss over that part of, like, if you just wrote a script and said, okay, well, there's two bitter enemies, and one of them defects to the other country and then comes back and kills their leader, you would think that that was a little suspicious.
Well, I think he was fairly obviously a CIA low-level throwaway. That he went over, they said, fuck it, okay, go over to Russian, and they put him assembling radios over there.
In the book,
the
Disenlightenment.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot the title. I think you say you don't believe in the Zapruder film is faked.
I know it's fake. Everybody knows it's faked.
I didn't.
Well, if you look at it, there are several frames missing. Every frame is numbered, right? And several frames are just missing. In fact,
and there's no other explanation for what that could be than foul play?
No, there have been a couple of explanations, one of which is that they were too brutal. Another one of which is right around the...
But they would have to be deliberately taken out?
Yeah, they've been taken out. Another one of which is the blood spatter is painted on. How do I know it's painted on? Because I've been making movies for 40 years. You can see it. In one frame, it doesn't exist. In the next frame, it does exist. And in the next frame, it doesn't exist. So what would actually... The film goes by 24 frames a second. If it were actual blood spatter, you would see it grow, and then you would see it disperse. But it's just painted on, as if it's very, very...
So who did it? Who faked the Zapruder film?
Well, I wrote that movie too, which has yet to get made, about the guy who faked the Zapruder film.
Well, see, that's a different movie. That's interesting.
That's a good movie, yeah.
You wrote it?
Yeah.
It's already, but it's just...
I was going to do it with Cate Blanchett, and that fell apart at the last minute. Maybe I'll do it some other time.
Oh, I would have jumped on that one.
Yeah, me too.
No, I mean getting her for the movie.
Oh, she was great. I went down to see her, and she said, yeah, I'll do it. She was going to do it for nothing. She was going to do it for scare. She just loved the part. And then the financer pulled
What
out the
part
last
is
minute.
there for a woman there? There's none in the story.
Aha. So the movie is about this woman whose grandfather made a lot of money in the movie business, in the technical end of the movie business. And so he dies, and she comes over to claim his house, his wonderful house in Pasadena, and all this money that he's sending her every week, and blah, 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 blah. She finds out the house doesn't actually belong to him, and the money stops. So the question is, where did he get his money? And so she has to follow this lead down. And first she thinks, because that he got his money doing what they used to do when a lot of the early stars, certainly not today, but a lot of the early stars had been professional, boys and girls on the street, and they'd been doing, some of them did porn movies. And so one of the things that
who? Early stars? You mean like Chaplin?
Well, certainly that early, but I mean throughout the thing, because where'd the talent come from? But one of the things that they used to do was, if there was, for example, a picture of a star who later became bankable doing a porn film or doing a porn shoot, and somebody came and tried to shake down the studio would alter the picture and say, wait a second, you altered that picture, right? This is the real picture. Your picture is altered. And so the first thing she figures out is that perhaps her grandfather was doing that for the studio. So she tries to run that down. Turns out that's not true. Then it turns out he was working for the Air Force during the Area 51 alien incursions, right, in Roswell, New Mexico, and that he was altering doing the same thing with the UFO footage. So she chases that down. And that's not true either. And then people start trying to kill her because she's getting too close, too close, too close. Then it turns out he was the guy who altered the Zapruder film, that they was shot by Zapruder, who'd been in the OSS, the precursor to the CIA.
Yeah.
It was shot obviously in Dallas, but instead of giving it to Kodak in Dallas to develop, they shipped it to Los Angeles.
But what's the part they took out and why?
But the part they took out and why was they were shot from the front. He wasn't shot from the back. He was shot they blew his head apart from the front with several shots to the face.
Well, that would have been Oswald.
No, because it wasn't from that angle. It was from the street angle.
But the way the Zapruder film is, as we have seen it, only makes you more suspicious. It doesn't cover up the crime. It makes it look more ridiculous.
Yeah.
Was that their intent?
Well, no, I don't know. Also, Dershowitz was Alan Dershowitz, I know pretty well, was clerking for one of the guys on the Warren Commission who told Dershowitz, who told me, that the whole thing was a cover-up, but that we had to do it for national security reasons.
That I believe in general, yes, I do think.
So the other thing is, how did they know that this guy, they said, we determined in 1 hour that that this guy is the shooter, and B, that there are no other shooters? They didn't know.
No.
And the other thing is the single bullet theory.
Of course.
Is nonsense.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's just no way to talk your way out of it.
Except everybody shut up, and anybody who says, anybody who objects is a conspiracy nut.